Hey, welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist podcast. Think Thursday is all about your beautiful, brilliant human brain. We're talking neuroscience. We're talking behavior change. We are talking about your mindset. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Well, hello and welcome to Think Thursday from Alcohol Minimalist. I'm Molly Watts. I'm your host. And Think Thursdays, we're here. We're all about neuroscience and brain health and your mindset. Today, I am going to talk to you about something really interesting. But before we get there, I want to touch on something that I brought up to my Facebook group. I actually posted it on social media. I've been thinking about it this week, and it kind of ties into what we're going to talk about today, which is, well, let me just give you the scientific term for it. It's called behaviorceuticals. Behaviorceuticals. Before we get there, though, let's talk about taking action. I published this post on my social media, and it's from Elizabeth Benton and the book Chasing Cupcakes. And it says, do not be subject to inertia. Inertia is a tendency to do nothing or remain unchanged. Recognize when you're in this phase of not taking action. Thinking isn't acting. Giving time to the problem isn't the same as giving energy to the solution. For most of my life, I thought I was solving my problems because I wanted to solve them, and I spent so much time and energy seeking solutions. I was spinning my wheels, getting nowhere, giving myself credit for my intentions. Nothing changed in my life until I decided to be a problem solver. Nothing changed until I decided to take unyielding action on the result I wanted to produce. I had to borrow some energy from all the thinking and feeling, so I had some to give to action. I'm going to give you 100,000 bonus points if you've wondered, wait, Elizabeth, you said thinking was the most important place to start creating change, but now you're saying action is the only thing that drives change? Which is it? Do I want to get out of the sensing phase and into the solving phase, or do I really want to focus on my thoughts? I'm so glad you asked. As soon as you are clear on the problem, get to the action. The important part about changing how you think is that you have the ability to train yourself to think about the solution instead of the problem. Changing your thoughts allows you to shift from I can't to how can I? You're shifting your thoughts in a way that allows you to more effectively and quickly participate in the solution. Optimizing the way you think allows you to take the right action to create change instead of taking no change or creating more of the problem. Action is the antidote. It's demonstration. It's the only thing that drives results. It's not a decision to act, it's getting off the sidelines, getting into the game, and doing something. Now, I shared that because I want you to really, for those of you that are always listening to this podcast or reading the book, and you're still wondering, why isn't what I'm doing working? I want you to ask yourself, are you really taking action at the time when you need to take action the most? Are you doing it when in those moments of decision? Are you practicing drinking less? Are you doing the things that help create sustainable change? And behavior, action, right? That's what we're talking about. And that's why I think it's a really perfect lead in into today's episode of Think Thursday. This is, again, about behaviorceuticals. Have you ever even heard of those? It is a fascinating area of neuroscience that might sound a little bit like science fiction, but trust me, it's very real and completely relevant to what we're talking about here. It's this idea that behavior itself can act as a type of medicine for our brains. And what better way to illustrate that than a quirky science-backed study where rats drove tiny little cars. Yes, you heard that you heard that right. Rats driving tiny cars. So let's jump in and talk about this. Behaviorceuticals. It's not a word you hear every day, but it's a concept that is gaining traction in neuroscience. Essentially, behaviorceuticals refers to the idea that engaging in certain behaviors, especially ones that are challenging or rewarding, can act as a kind of medicine for our brains. Think about it. Our behaviors influence the way we feel, right? Sometimes we have to go along that behavior map result cycle and we go to the action, so behavior part, and that by doing something, we take that action, it actually creates a feeling of positive momentum instead of going the opposite direction, just like I was talking about in that quote from Elizabeth Benton. They literally change, actions change how our brains work. Every time you learn something new, try a different skill, or break a habit that isn't serving you, you're actively reshaping your brain. That's that neuroplasticity that we've talked about. And it's how your brain adapts and grows stronger. For us, as people working towards more mindful drinking habits, behaviorceuticals are a fascinating lens. Instead of focusing solely on what we need to stop doing, like over drinking, we can also focus on what new and healthy behaviors we want to start doing. Let's shift gears, literally, and talk about those driving rats. This study was conducted by researchers at the University of Richmond, and it's both kind of adorable and incredibly insightful. Here's what happened. The scientists designed little cars out of plastic containers and fitted them with wheels and placed a metal bar inside that acted as a steering mechanism. The rats were taught to touch the bar with their paws, moving the car forward to reach a reward, usually a bit of food. Actually, I believe that it was Fruit Loops. They found out that rats really like Fruit Loops. At first, this was a challenge for the rats, but as they practiced, they got better at driving. Some even started steering to navigate obstacles. What's more fascinating is what happened in their brains. The researchers measured their stress levels and found that driving the cars reduced stress and increased dopamine, a feel good chemical in the brain. For the rats, learning a new skill and engaging in a purposeful activity wasn't just fun, it was calming and rewarding. So, what can we learn from this? A lot, actually. The study reinforces something we talk about here all the time. Our brains love learning, they love novelty, and they also love reward. When we engage in activities that challenge us in a healthy way, whether it's learning a new skill, starting a hobby, or even just doing something purposeful, we activate our brain's reward system in a natural and sustainable way. For many of us, alcohol has been a shortcut to that dopamine hit, right? But the good news is that there are so many other ways to get there, ways that don't come with a side of regret or a hangover or anxiety, right? The study with these rats also reminds us of something else. Mastery feels good. They didn't they didn't just get stressed and quit when they struggled with the little cars. They actually practiced, they improved, and eventually they succeeded. That process of learning and achieving is rewarding in itself and it builds resilience, not just in rats, but in us too. If you're someone who's been trying to reduce your drinking or change your relationship with alcohol, behaviorceuticals can be a game changer. Instead of focusing only on not drinking, think about what you can start doing instead. Maybe it's picking up an old hobby you used to love. Maybe it's trying something completely new. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And each little step forward rewires your brain, making it easier to let go of those old habits that are no longer serving us and build new ones that maybe truly serve us in a different way and serve us very positively. This is also where mindfulness comes into play. When we engage in new purposeful activities, we're forced to be present. You can't drive a tiny car or master any new skill on autopilot. And the more present we are, the less likely we are to fall into old patterns of mindless drinking. So here's my challenge for you this week. What's one thing that you've always wanted to try or something you used to enjoy but just haven't done in a while? Maybe it's painting, gardening, learning a language, or even something as simple as putting together a puzzle. Whatever it is, give it a go. Pay attention to how it makes you feel, not just in the moment, but afterward too. Do you feel calmer, more focused, maybe even proud of yourself for trying something new? These small actions matter. They're behaviorceuticals in action, helping you build a better, happier, healthier brain and one that's less reliant on alcohol for comfort or escape. All right, friends, that's it for today's Think Thursday. Who knew that rats in tiny cars could teach us so much about stress relief, resilience, and rewiring our brains? Remember, building a peaceful relationship with alcohol is about so much more than what you're giving up. It's about what you're gaining. And just like those little rats, you're capable of learning, growing, and finding joy in this process. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you share it with a friend who might need a little inspiration. And if you haven't already checked it out, head on over to our Facebook group, Alcohol Minimalists Change Your Drinking Habits. It's a supportive, judgment free zone where we dive even deeper into neuroscience, brain health, and, of course, your mindset. Until next time, choose peace, my friends. I'll see you on Monday.